Hello, in this video I'm going to be my first ever attempt at making some JMS, which is JADAM Microorganism Solution. Just a pre-warning, there's loads of background noise in this video. I didn't realise until I'd started editing it, so I'm doing this intro again just to pre-warn you so no one's surprised when you can hear drilling and from a factory and wind and God knows what else, but I think it's just about audible. Give it a go, see what you think, and yeah, let's get on with it. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alex. I'm a vegetable farmer here in Essex. I grow commercially for a veg box service and some farmers markets, etc, etc. I've got a no-till farm, but I've been inspired by someone else's YouTube channel and Instagram channel called Bloom and Grey. She's a flower farmer here in the north of England, and she's been doing a lot of research into Korean natural farming. And over the last month, I've been watching her progress. She's completely new to it. She's not an expert on it, but is giving it a go. And it's kind of inspired me to give it a go myself. So I thought I'd bring you along for the journey for starters. I'm going to do this all in one take because I really haven't got the time to be doing proper YouTube videos at the moment with everything that's going on, with it being this time of the season. So it's going to be raw and unedited, and I'll bring you along for the journey. But anyway, I'm going to make something called JMS today in this video, which is JADAM Microorganism Solution. And this technique that comes under the caveat of Korean natural farming is designed to add or introduce microorganisms, beneficial microorganisms to your soil. So for those of you that have been following me for a long time, you will know that the soil that I inherited was heavily ploughed. It was pretty dead. It's monocrop in the past, but for a long time has just stayed pretty desolate, with some occasional grasses for hay being grown in this field. But it had been ploughed for at least a year and left completely bare and continuously ploughed and hard tilthed for at least a year prior to me having it, or the strip that I'm farming on. So the long story short, the ground that I inherited is pretty dead. It's pretty heavy clay soil, and there isn't that much, or wasn't that much, soil life within it. So because of that, I've obviously heavily into regenerative agriculture and the no-dig/no-till approach to my farmer's market. No, that's not farmer's market, my market garden. I always get them two mixed up, sorry. Anyway, in a bid to introduce more life into the soil, as well as adding tons and tons of compost over sort of the year's cycle, I am going to try and introduce some micronutrient activity or microorganism activity, and I'm going to do that by making some JMS. So, right, how do you make JMS? Again, absolutely no expert. This is the first time I'm ever trying it, and I just thought I'd bring you along for the journey. It doesn't take that long to make, and what it does is it creates a liquid packed full of microorganisms and activity for you to then dilute and soak your soil with. So I have collected a bucket, just a small bucket because I'm only trying it on a small scale to start off with, of rainwater. It's best to do it with soft water, or water that isn't heavily chlorinized or anything like that. So I've collected a bucket of rainwater over this last few days. The other things that I'm going to add to this bucket is I have boiled some potatoes. Oh, let's just drop that in there. Boiled some potatoes, just some normal organic baking potatoes, and they're nice and soft and squidged up. And then, as you can see, I've put them in sort of like a fine mesh little sack. Now, a lot of people do this with the little drawstring Hessian type bags, but I didn't have one of those. So what I've actually done is cut the inline out of an old rain mac that I washed, and then cut the lining out of. So it's that kind of material that you get in inside a rain mac or inside men's swimming shorts. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily do it with men's swimming shorts liner, but it's that kind of material. So we've got about 2 big baking potatoes boiled, and that's going to go into the water in a second, and I'll show you how I'll do that. And then the other or next ingredient I've got is where I've collected, in theory, some microorganisms. So I have collected these from 3 different locations. One of them being my allotment, an area where I know the soil is great. The soil's very little pest activity, and it's really high in nutrients. So I'm assuming there'll be some microorganism activity there. I've collected a tiny bit of soil from a leaf mould pile that I've got going. Again, naturally, woodlands, leaves, that kind of areas are very rich in microorganisms. And then I've also added some very heavily rotted wood chip compost, and I've literally added about 10 grams of each to create this little sack of about 30 grams of soil. What I'm going to do is suspend those using a just a bit of bamboo that's going to sit across the top of my bucket, and I'm going to tie them to these 2 bits of string that I've put on the bit of bamboo, and I'm going to suspend those in that rainwater that I've harvested or collected over the last couple of days. So let me do that and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back, I've done that, I've suspended those 2 bags on my bamboo cane. And the reason you do that and use the bags is so that your water doesn't get full of big clumps of stuff, because in theory when you then put this on the soil, it's going to go through a hose or a hose end or a watering can rose, so you don't want the water full of rubbish. Bless me, I told you it was going to be unedited. I might cut that bit out actually. So yeah, there it is, my 2 suspended potatoes and soil, which in theory is full of micro life. The reason you use potato is to feed the micro life in the water, and then it duplicates, and the idea is you have this really strong solution full of microorganisms. Now the final thing that I'm going to add to this, just because I'm a little bit lazy and I'm hoping it won't have an effect, is some organic natural fertilizer, because this solution is going to get diluted and then put on all of my beds. So to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, what I'm going to do is add the fertilizer into it now, so that then as I dilute this down, the fertilizer will get diluted down and it will get spread on my beds as well as this stuff here. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to dunk that in the buckets now and I'll quickly show you. So there we are, that's the bucket of rainwater with a bit of natural grower fertilizer in it, and as you can see, the 2 bags are suspended. I want to tighten them up, raise them, just twist the bar around a little bit, but there they are, suspended in the water. It's a little bit murky because it's rainwater, but that shouldn't matter at all. So I'm going to cover that now with another bucket. I'm going to put it somewhere nice and warm, and I'm going to leave it for 24 to 48 hours, and I will show you how it's got on in a future video. Whether it's bubbled, whether it's taken, whether that microorganisms have started to duplicate, and then I will show you how I'm going to apply it. If you got to the end of the video, thank you very much. In the next couple of days I will film an update on how it's getting on and see if that microorganism activity sort of kicks in, and we should see some bubbling or, I don't know, ferment almost on the top, on the surface there. And then that's when we know it's active, and then it's only got about a 12 to 24 hour sort of shelf life, if you want to call it that. So I'll be diluting it straight down and applying it to my beds, and I'll talk you all through that. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.